Hello, my beautiful people. How are you? Today's video, we're going to talk about my 2-week wait symptoms. Oh my goodness, I can't tell you how many videos I looked up when I was like in those 2-week waits. Especially like the first 6 days I feel like are the hardest because you can't test. If you test, it's pointless. You really don't typically experience anything different from like after ovulation 6 days anyway. But in our minds, right, we're constantly like, oh, this could be a sign. That could be a sign. So I wrote down some of my notes about days past ovulation. So one day, DPO, days past ovulation, I wrote down that I had cramps. That could have been leftover ovulation cramps, I'm assuming. I doubt it would be implantation. Well, I know for a fact it's not implantation. That typically happens, I think, between 6 and 12 days past ovulation. Which I also did the Ava bracelet, which takes your basal body temperature. And so it would help to tell me exactly like when my body temperature dipped and when it rose again. So therefore, like, I know that I had like implantation that day and then it came back up. Day 2 and 3, I wrote down nothing. Day 4, I was nauseous and I had to pee a lot. That could do nothing with this. Day 5, nothing. Now on day 6, I actually went to my OB for just my yearly that day. And I was kind of nervous because I didn't know if getting your yearly checkup, if that could affect the implantation at all, because it was going to be like between then and another, couple days. And so I expressed my concerns to her and she said absolutely not. Like, everything that she does is just surface and like near your cervix and everything would be fine. And then she was like, and I gave you some baby dust. And I was like, yay. So she also, which I'm going to do a video about my miscarriage. With having a miscarriage, we discussed that day that at like 6 days past ovulation, I can start taking the progesterone and then take that until I get my period or not. And then if I didn't, then continue to take it for the next 10 to 12 weeks. And then if I did get my period, then just stop it and start again in my 2-week wait. Well, that happened to be the month for us, thankfully. So I started the progesterone that night. So that's kind of important to note here, because progesterone, if you ever look up the side effects, it can have nausea, headaches, stomach upset, dizziness, lightheadedness, cramping. Like, there's so many side effects. I feel like any medication that we take has potential side effects, right? But she did also inform me that there was no negative side effects towards like the baby, or it wouldn't hurt my chances of getting pregnant. So figured, I could suffer through some of these side effects in hopes to keep this baby for this pregnancy if I was pregnant at that time. So on 6 days past ovulation, now this would have been, I wrote all these things down prior to starting the progesterone, but I had right ovulation pain, or right side pain, but like in that general area, hot flashes and backache. On 7 days past ovulation, I wrote down that I was extremely tired, nauseous, I had the right pain again, and hot flashes again. And then on 8 days past ovulation, I swore that I was like not pregnant. I was like, none of these, it's not like I just didn't feel pregnant. We had been trying for so many months. I just knew that it was going to be negative. And so I took a pregnancy test that day, and Josh was out here and the girls were out here. I honestly thought wholeheartedly it was going to be negative. And so we flipped them over together. I did not film this at all, which I'm so disappointed in myself, because it was like such an awesome opportunity to have filmed and to like get my sheer shock reaction. Oh my goodness. And the girl, we all found out at the same exact time, which normally, obviously, you don't tell people until you're past the safe zone, especially after having a miscarriage. I mean, everybody does their own thing, right? I am one of those people who I tell people right away, whether this baby's gonna stick or not. It's a baby, it's in our life. Like, I want people to experience the joy with us. But so that morning, I was super cranky, like extremely cranky, really tired. I had backache, I wasn't feeling good, like I just felt like sick, kind of. I was nauseous and I had a headache. It was a day. It was a day. And so I took 2 different pregnancy tests. I took a first response, and I took a cheapie. And we flipped cheapie over first, and I like couldn't tell if I saw something. Actually, I think I didn't think that I saw anything. And then I flipped the first response over and I was like, what? What? And I was like, there's a line. There's a line. And Josh was like, there's a line. Compared to, like, if you watched our video with Raina, you know, he wasn't sure that even seeing the faintest line meant anything. So this time he understood completely that seeing the faintest line means a positive. So that was like shocking. So my attitude changed completely after that point. I was so excited, so unbelievably excited. We all were. But it also took us like a minute to like let it sink in because of experiencing the loss a couple months beforehand. So this was, I guess, our second cycle after the miscarriage that we ended up getting pregnant. And it just like blew my mind. So I was addicted with taking pregnancy tests. Like, I took probably 30 of them. You know, they were the cheapy ones, they were the expensive ones, they were the ones that said pregnant or yes, or, you know. Now those ones I did wait a couple more days. I think I waited until 9 days past ovulation, and they both came up like yes and pregnant, and I was just shocked by that. And so it just blew our mind. So days past that, like 9 DPO, 10 DPO, continuing on to the full 2-week wait, what I was experiencing, I think, was more progesterone side effects, because I also experienced it. Sorry, Rain is sleeping, so I'm looking at the monitor. I also experienced these things for the next 12 weeks. Well, I guess at that point you're already a couple weeks pregnant, but until I was 12 weeks pregnant. But I had talked to the pharmacist because I had to switch I had to refill my prescription. And I was like, I've heard that there's different forms of this. Like, is there a way to take it vaginally instead of orally? She was like, oh, actually what you're taking, you can take vaginally, because I told her what I was experiencing, which was lightheadedness. It was headaches. It was like just nausea. But a lot of it was in my head. Like, and I just didn't like the feeling of being like unbalanced, or like I was gonna pass out, or just not be steady. And, you know, with holding a baby, I would never want to fall while holding her. Sorry. So I also stopped taking it orally around, I think, 6 weeks pregnant, and then switched over to vaginally. And then I continued to experience the nausea and kind of like mood swings, if you want to call it that, for the next couple weeks, which was really tough. But, you know, as you're pregnant, I'm sure all of us are aware of this if you're pregnant or have ever been pregnant. There's a lot of great side effects and amazing things with pregnancy, and there's a lot that you just kind of have to like take in and deal with. And so for the health and the safety of our baby and making sure that the baby was getting enough progesterone, that my body was producing enough progesterone to be able to continue this pregnancy, it was worth the side effects to me. And I was just so excited for when I would be able to come off the progesterone. I think that I have balanced out a little bit, but I think my hormones are still a little all over the place. My face has definitely gotten better. At the beginning of my pregnancy too, I definitely had like acne, but I was really dealing with that several months before I actually got pregnant. So I think it's the pregnancy itself that is helping me with my face. But yeah, so I hope that that helps any of you mamas out there with your 2-week wait. Just know that we all experience things differently and that we are all in this together, and that those 2 weeks feel like a lifetime. But it took only 8 days for me after ovulation to get a positive. It was very, 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 very faint. And I actually suggest, so I did do that in the morning, but I get darker positives in the afternoon. So like that morning I took it and it was like really, really faint. And then that afternoon I took it and it was a little bit darker. Not a whole lot darker, but just a little bit. So if you're ever like super bummed, it's 8 days past ovulation, 9 days past ovulation, 10, whenever you're taking your pregnancy test and it's not coming up positive in the morning, maybe like around 1 or 2, try to hold your pee for like even like 2 hours or so.